I was like, what is...
Elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to An Elegant Weapon, episode 365. My name is J.M. Clark, J the Jedi Ross, Ross Jedi J. And as always, it is so wonderful to have all you beautiful babies here with us in the Smoking Pod studio. Let me just say happy Victoria Day to all my fellow Canadians out there. I hope you're all enjoying an isolated long weekend. It's crummy and rainy outside, as is pretty much every other May 2-4 weekend. Usually we don't think about it much because we're outside partying and camping and getting the summer underway, but this year it's a bit of a weird thing. But still, it's nice to be here. We're celebrating Victoria Day in quarantine style. So this week we got a plan, kids. We're going to do a whole bunch of really exciting stuff. It's going to be Source Point Press Heavy Hitters Week. Every day this week we're going to have a classic on from Source Point Press. Next week we're going to get a little bit more back into some Canadian comic creators, as we got to support all around. Just to put my cards on the table, I'm a little bit biased, seeing as I am the Canadian Ops Manager for Source Point Press. I help run all the shows out here and all the logistics and all that kind of stuff and spread the good word of Source Point Press. So I'm celebrating my family this week in a time that we all miss our family severely. So joining me to kick things off is our very good friend, writer, Mr. Garrett Gunn. How are you, Garrett?
Good, bro. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to talk with you again, even though you're one of the more recent people that I've actually been able to talk to, seeing as I just saw you at Astronomicon.
Yes, we had such a glorious time. Also, that was such a buildup. That intro is on point. Like, that was a lot, dude.
I'm sorry, man. It's
like the whole beat, like the fucking Star Wars remix, and like that was any experience I've ever had with you was just like through a fucking mic at a con. I've never been in this like like the fucking Thunderdome.
Like, and this has been a weird thing because it's like I'm used to being the guy doing all this interviewing, and then this quarantine hits and everybody takes to Zoom. All of a sudden, everybody's interviewing everybody, and there's all this stuff going on. And I was all kind of weirded out enough in the beginning that it kind of weirded me out enough that I actually didn't pod for a few weeks. I actually took a step back just to kind of soak it all in and kind of let everybody have their fun and figure out what the hell was going on. And because it was weird, man. Like we were just talking about before, every decent webcam on the planet and on the internet has been sold out. It's crazy, and it's a Zoom world now. So I jumped on the Zoom bandwagon and decided to just keep doing what I do, but throw a visual element in there. So we got a nice little setup going on here. Our brand new, well-produced setup. We have to send out mad shout-outs to Mr. Jeremy Kordick. Jeremy, thank you so much for bringing it on home and helping us out, man. Your new setup and contribution to the way is going to keep things going for quite a long time. I'm still getting used to a few things, so if it looks like I'm kind of looking around, I'm still figuring out the things, because there's always that awkward point when you want to share it to all your pages, but you don't want to kind of interrupt the conversation. You don't want to
show all those tabs, bro.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No one needs to see like backup porn tabs you got open.
There, see now, right now I just screwed it up because you can totally hear us, but now I've muted it. So, I'm getting there, kids. Figuring it out. And also I can do this too now. There's no, that's not what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. Hold on, it's actually,
and I can do this now, but I can't. So there.
Well, this is what I had meant to do for you here before, which I didn't get a chance to do, but now I can do. There we go.
No big deal. Please. Yeah.
But this has been a lot of fun. So in fact, the way that things have gone, I took a minute, I stepped back and just kind of recharged a bit. And, because it was a real weird time. This was going to be a huge year for me, man. I had how many cons were we going to be doing, right? Like
Holy
just an
fuck, so
absolutely ridiculous amounts.
Yeah, it
Bob
was a
Sally
lot.
misses us. We miss you too.
I
Hello,
miss
Mia.
you.
Thank
Oh,
you
I
for
need to pull
joining
that
us.
up. I forgot.
Yeah, pull it up. The party's coming.
Pull it up.
Yeah. So we were talking about it in Michigan at Astronomicon. There it was going to be a real exciting year, man.
I know. We had a lot of stuff planned, dude.
Well, I took all of 2019 off, remember, and was ready to come raging back. And it was going to be the year of the con, and I had all these awesome travel plans set up. And then boom, this thing came down like a hammer. And we were very lucky to have gotten in. I got 3 in a month. So I did Vancouver. First, I did Michigan, Astronomicon. Then in Vancouver, our first Source Point show in Vancouver, where we sold the fuck out. And then C2E2. So it was nice that we at least got C2E2 in there. But it was weird because you remember that's when the fist bumping started.
Yeah, it was weird. I remember we had this conversation. I said at C2E2, I was all, man, there's a weird vibe on this floor. Like people are like starting to act weird. I think it's because of like this COVID-19 thing. Like it just feels strange. And then like, boom, everything fucking exploded after that.
Yeah, it went crazy, man. Because I had so much lined up immediately afterwards too, like Toronto Comic-Con and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So like, how has it made you readjust your game plan for the year?
I mean, I just kind of like do my thing, bro. Like, I mean, I don't really change anything. Like cons to me are like just an extra thing that like to go do. You know what I mean? Like I don't build my year necessarily around cons. So like when they just kind of all just went away, I was like, all right, I guess I have more time to work on the things I'm already working on. like that's, I mean, it sucks. Like it's like a huge like mental and emotional like toll that it takes, because like that's my like time to get away and like go have like my own like fun with like fellow creators and like do all that stuff. And now all of a sudden like you don't get any of that. Like this is cool, like it's cool to do this stuff, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
Those
like as being in person, like
right?
Getting, you know, just like getting hammered and watching Bob make a fool of himself, like that kind of like I don't get that now.
Yeah,
I miss you, Bob. Bob doesn't like me anymore. Bob like ever since like he had me read Broken Gargoyles #1. I gave him like my honest feedback on something like it was I told him it was fucking great because it is fucking great. And I was fucking like, I gave him like one thing, and after that thing, he just stopped talking to me. He's like, fuck you, Garrett. I fucking hate you. Everything you stand for, you fucking prick. Like
I'm sure he just needed, well, he probably was just upset because you were probably right.
No, that's the thing, is this one person's perspective, and like everybody else that read it disagreed with me, and I'm like, that's cool, you can disagree with me, like I'm just giving you like my like right back, like, you know what I mean, like my first impression.
Yeah,
and
I really
I fucking love Bob
it.
to death.
Yeah,
but Bob hates me now.
It blew me away when I read it. I really like, I was quite impressed. I think it's a bit of a game changer. It's out there now, kids, or it's in pre-order now, or what are we at? I'm so confused these days because
it's in previews right now. Right
yeah,
now.
y'all need to read this though. It's really,
or you can buy it from SourcePoint's website.
Absolutely. You know what? I actually what I have to do is, and maybe we'll make a video out of this, but I got a shipment recently just before all this started of SourcePoint stuff for like Toronto Comic-Con and this and that.
Yeah.
And the quarantine hit and I never opened the boxes. I just, I never saw sense. Like, well, like I was like, how long is it going to be before I go to a con? Like, what's the need of me to crack these boxes, right?
Yeah.
So I, in fact, have a bunch of uncracked boxes full of comic books and games and stuff. So I don't actually know what's in there. So what I actually have to do is crack that stuff open, and maybe, I can do a little bit of supplyage, curbside meetup type stuff out here.
There you go.
And try and supply some local
Ontarians
with their source point material,
Like,
but who knows? I don't
like
think
a fucking
there's
corner store and just like sell comics out of the trunk, dude.
Yeah, totally.
Hey kids, you want to read some comics?
Just the trench coat.
People are like, come on, keep going, keep going. Don't talk to the scary man.
Yeah, it's totally weird times, man. It's and having to see what's going on with Diamond and having the pause and then the new stuff. Travis is actually editor-in-chief. Travis is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow, so he can explain what the hell is going on with all this distribution stuff and these
corner box, new corner box,
with corner box and everything, so we can understand what kind of evolution is actually occurring before our eyes here. Because it's kind of crazy stuff. Like this has changed. There's a few industries that won't be, that probably I mean, every industry's hit hard right now, but there's a few that are kind of come through okay, the same on the outside, on the other side, even if they've got new social distancing rules and stuff. But it seems like there's certain industries that have absolutely now been tossed on their fucking heads,
I
including
mean,
the
I'll tell you,
comic
right?
book
Like
industry.
I got a friend that works in like the music venue like industry, and like he's like a sound engineer. He runs like concerts for like big people like Rob Zombie, Korn, people like that. And like their just industry's just gone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and they're like people are telling them like prepare for it not to come back. Like it's hit the industry so like been so devastating to that industry financially that the companies that do that just can't afford to exist anymore. It's just fucking insane to me.
Dude, think a lot of these older acts who just tour,
Yeah.
right? Who
Yeah.
aren't so into the online life and they just tour and now they're retired. You're retired.
They're not getting
now.
radio royalties anymore.
You're you know, it's over. So
it's crazy.
You know, but I think we're gonna figure it out. I mean, right from the beginning, I have been so insanely impressed with the support that this you know community is given. It's given each other like right from the beginning. People had each other's backs, and the first wave was commissions and buying. And everybody just started buying each other's stuff. I cannot even believe how many creators have stepped up to help support each other. Has been nuts, and not taken away from the community because it's definitely been here as well. But you know, holy crap, right down to the source point auctions. Like, you know, that was kind of the kickoff, it felt like, were those source point auctions, eh?
Well, I started looking at like my calendar and I was like, okay, I didn't need to get like a lot of this shit done until like fall. But I'm like, you know, I would like hit up the artist, like the cover artist that I was going to ask to do a cover like in October. And I'm like, hey, like if you need to do it now, like I could probably swing like, you know, paying you like to do this commission now, like to do this work. Like trying to like front load as much stuff as possible to like give people money without like crippling my company.
Right.
But yeah, like I remember like right when this started, like having a conversation with Travis where we were like, what can we do? Like Travis was like, I'm thinking about doing this thing. Like, would you be on board with this? And I was like, yeah, sure, dude. Give my books away for free. I don't give a fuck. Like,
hey, man.
Like get people books, get, you know, artists money where we can. Like I'm in a very unique position because like I'm retired. Like I live off of my army pension and shit. So like this hasn't affected me financially. So I'm like, okay, how thin can I spread myself to help as many people as I can while still making sure my shit's done. You know what I mean?
Totally in the same boat because I'm still working. This has not touched me financially in any way. In fact, I'm saving money because I'm not spending it going out or doing anything.
Yeah.
So the same thing. I've been trying to spread it around and get a little of this from there and get a little bit of this from there because you just every little bit helps, I guess, though, right?
But like one of the guys, one of my buddies, Michael Claro, who like works for my company, you know, he lives off of conventions. Like, I mean, like 3/4 of his income is convention, you know, like money he makes at conventions. And he's like, dude, I went from like $5,000 a month to like $1,000. He's like, this is so shitty.
Oh like, man, the hit is insane. I was talking with Carlos the other day. He's the owner of Gotham Central here in Mississauga.
Yeah.
And he was giving me some numbers that I was just like, oh,
it's fucking crazy.
Goodness. I mean, he's a smart business guy too. So I mean, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna come through this fine.
Yeah. But there's businesses that are like strong that are like.
Well, what's it like? Because you just like talk about your business a little because it's a new business. It's you know, it's kind of a new little sprouted thing from your brain. I mean, and to have it just when you're about to try and really like have it take off, this thing whole hits. What's that like, man?
I mean, like most of my business is just like me and my team. Like there's not really like, we don't depend on like, you know, foot traffic or like, we don't depend on like this business is mainly online. Like everything we do is, you know, can still be done right now. So I've started a business called Last Wolf Legion. It's essentially just an intellectual property development house where we like develop treatments for film, TV, comics, graphic novels, motion comics, anything. We develop these small treatments to then pitch to companies, studios, publishers, whatever, to try to get them developed into products. The company was founded by me, my buddy Sean Schemmel, who's the voice of Goku from Dragon Ball Z, my buddy Michael Calero, who's an artist for Aspen, Marvel, bunch of stuff, and Chris Campana, who a lot of us know from like the convention
All
scene.
very good people, man.
That's the company motto is make cool shit with our friends. Like that's our
dude. Sean dropped by.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know out there, and you're so not in the know if you don't know, one of Garrett's titles, Franklin and Ghost, wonderful comic book, is being made into a animated series. One of the voices attached is Goku himself, Mr. Sean Schemmel. So we were at Fan Expo Vancouver, as I had said, back in February, and he happened to be there as a guest as well. So Garrett, was like, hey, Source Point is there, drop by, say hello. And he did. And he came on over, and he didn't just say hello. He was so enthusiastic and so excited and so jazzed up over what was coming and what was happening. And he loved the project. And, it felt like, I don't know. He seemed real excited about it, though, man. It seems like maybe it was one of those things where, he's had the like solid jobs for years, and this is a bit more of a fun indie type,
well, like he kind of like
situation.
Him and I have talked about it a lot. Like, I mean, like we've become really good friends, like through like not just like him attaching to the project, but like after that, like we kind of like developed this friendship. Like we talk like every other day, and then we became business partners and shit. But like he talks all the time about. Like he'll sit there and he'll be like, man, I just like really appreciate you giving me this opportunity and shit. Like to me, I'm like, bro, I didn't give you shit. Like you're fucking Goku. Like you got this because you're talented and you got this. I didn't give you anything. And he's like,
it shows he's an artist though, right?
Well, and he kind of just like explained to me, he's like, look, like this kind of thing is like really sought after in their industry because a lot of those people are doing dub work, which means like they're not creating necessarily an original voice. Like they are original voices, but they're somehow usually inspired by like their Japanese counterpart because this character already exists in Japan. So like they don't feel like they get to like at the ground floor, like I'm going to come in and I'm going to develop a character. Oh yeah. So like to Sean has always been like, dude, I love Franklin and Ghost because I get to come in and I get to design the voice to Franklin. I get to design the voice of Tyrion. Like these are characters that like are going to be 100% me. I'm not listening to a Japanese person, read that dialogue in Japanese and then turning it into, hey, I'm Goku. Into his voice. Different. You know what I mean? So absolutely. They all really like it because they think it's like an opportunity to like, that's not something that happens a lot. Like a lot of original animation doesn't come around that often. 90% of it is adapted or dubbed or whatever from things that already exist.
Absolutely. So to do something fresh and
but he loves it. He's very, very he has read all the
jazzed.
books.
I'm telling you,
he's very jazzed. And he will what's funny is he's so like not used to comics that like he read the Franklin and Ghost like first volume. Like there's like 180 pages and he like called me and he's all right, cool. So I got questions. Like, why don't I know this? Like, why don't I know that? Like, tell me who did this. And I was like, you'll have to wait for the other books. And he's all, yeah, man, but that wasn't enough. Like that, you got to give me more shit. I'm all, that's the way comics works, bro. Like it's an ongoing thing. And he was like,
experience.
Fuck. He's like, this is bullshit. He's like, I want to know more shit. And so he's constantly, whenever I give him like a project, he'll like want to read something I'm working on. I send it to him and he'll be like, this is like a really short read. I'm like, dude, it's a 22-page comic. Like you don't get a ton out of a 22-page comic. Like
and some of these once a month and
exactly
you get your 22 pages.
So he's very like, he has a really hard time with like not dumping everything on the like, the viewer or the reader or whatever. And he wants so badly to constantly tell people. And I always got to tell him, I'm like, don't overload them. Just let them develop these opinions on their own and let them develop this on their own. And then we hit them with, what happens or then we give them the backstory. Then we give them the origin. Like you don't give them everything at once. Yeah, it's not a movie. It's not even a TV show. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take your time, tell the story right.
Yeah. Like Franklin and Ghost is an ongoing series. So like if Hellboy had come out and was like, hey, so Hellboy's like king of hell. And like, here's his thing and here's his power. And like, boom, boom, boom. What's up? You want to read the second one? No, you already told me everything.
Which is one of it just shows the faith in Franklin and Ghost from the beginning as well, because Source Point is not ought for usually putting out ongoing series.
Yeah.
A lot of these things usually cap out and they're starting to experiment more. But that's the cool thing is I'm so proud of this company for the way that they have sidestepped and danced their way around this situation and have taken some risks that have paid off like huge, have far exceeded expectations. New ways of doing things that'll probably stick around even if things went back to normal because they worked out so well. But at times like this, you got to take chances and try new things, and that's what SourcePoint's always been about. And you try new things, you end up with awesome shit like Franklin and Ghost, right? Now you people, Steve Rockna, I don't know if it's Rockna or Roshna.
It's Rona, actually.
Is it
Steve Rona?
It's silent CH.
Yeah, that's
silent
right.
C? Yeah. What is that? That's interesting.
He's
what's he saying? He helped. He also helped put on an amazing episode of D&D.
He did. So we have a store out here in California. Like me and my buddy started a few years ago. It's like a Pokemon store. Like we sell a lot of trading cards, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that. And we do a D&D Twitch stream every Friday, or we did before quarantine. We do it every Friday night. We do an episode of D&D, and it's like four hours long, and it's the same group every week, and we play this big campaign. So Sean came to our store and did a signing, like a local signing, and there was a fuckload of people. And like I asked him, I said, hey, after we do the signing, like, do you mind just like hanging out at the store? Like we'll play an episode of D&D. And he was like, oh man, I haven't played D&D since like fucking late 80s. And I was like, yeah, dude, if you want to make a character, whatever. He was like, I still know my character from back then when I played. He's like, I'll play that. So
That's
we
amazing.
put on this episode of D&D, and he played this character who like didn't have a memory, like couldn't remember where he came from, and all he could remember was that he was from a planet where there was these strange beings called Saiyans. And he's like, I don't really know what they were. There was a guy named Goku, and all he was talking about this. And at the end of the episode, he brought in Goku to just like annihilate some giant thing we were fighting. That's hilarious. Was the fucking greatest D&D campaign I'd ever seen. Like we're all just sitting back going like, what's happening? Like Goku's fighting this gigantic monster.
Dude, I miss playing sometimes. I used to play, last time I played, it's been a while, but a couple years back, the last Pathfinder I was in, it was with fellow podcasters, the Dragon Fisters. And they're a fantastic show. Yeah. So we did a Pathfinder fun with them where it was me and a couple other guys from Points of Interest Network, and none of us had really played since we were like 13. So we just fucking got together and we played online, and I still have my character sheet. And I was a mad cleric who used to just go fucking nuts and kill people in the name of fucking God.
I fucking love, like, clerics are so fun to play.
Yeah. So I've still got the sheet somewhere too that's got all my info.
Fucking great.
So yeah, it'd be fun to get in on a game.
Well, the thing I like, I mean, we play a lot. Like, we play a lot of D&D. Like, I've really gotten into it like the last year.
Well, Garrett, like, I love the Renaissance man part of your existence because I have so much trouble keeping your shit straight. I really, really do. Because your shit is so interesting and unique is why I think that is, okay? Like, because I have lots of friends who do lots of different things, okay?
Yeah.
I've got a friend who's a wrestler, a strip club DJ, a podcaster, and a comic book writer, okay? And did I say wrestler? Like I have some friends, and but those are distinct things. Do you know what I mean? You are constantly, like, you're either twitching or streaming or writing or lifting or, or drawing even or cartooning or... There's so much little stuff that you've got going on, and it's so hard to keep it straight. How do you keep it straight?
Who says I do? You assume I keep it straight.
Nice.
Like, it's more so like I just like let the creative drive move me, man. Like, that's it. I'm like, I'll be super into there's times when I just want to draw all the time, and I'll draw. Like, I mean, it's definitely like the more like the artistic stuff, like sculpture and like drawing and stuff, has definitely become like more popular like recently, because I was like in art classes. So I was like taking art classes at college, and so like I was in ceramics and sculpture, and I was in like 3D design and other stuff. So like that sort of like being in that environment, and like being forced to like be in that scholarly setting of like everyone's working on sculpture, it like funnels creativity into you, I feel like. So like that stuff became more prevalent in my life of like, oh, I'm gonna work on sculpture, I'm gonna work on like drawing more, I'm gonna develop more of this stuff or do that stuff. So it just kind of comes in waves. Like,
so, but I guess it does relate to the fact that you are retired and have been quarantined
yeah,
for, years at this point. This must be so weird for you to see everybody experiencing exactly what your life has been
yes,
for forever now. And like literally, because people have either gone one way or the other. People have either sat on the couch, got fat, watched fucking TV, and just fucking dove into it, right? Or other people have, like, I've gone the other way. I can't believe how much shit I've got done and sorted out.
Oh,
and like, dude, I've lost 35 pounds. And
I don't understand how you lost 35 pounds.
Dude, I weigh about as much as one of your legs at this point. I weigh about as much as your calf muscle.
For real. Yeah.
I
don't understand
Casey
where you
hit me up today. Casey, I don't know if you're still watching, but Casey hit me up. She's like, you weigh less than I do now. And I was like, yeah, but you got all the muscles, right? Like Casey's.
Yeah, but you got the look for that though. Like I used to I got really skinny when I was like deployed in the army, and like people told me, they're like, God, you look fucking weird, man. Like you gotta be a big dude. Like you don't look right when you're small. Like you've got that Crypt Keeper vibe. Like you can pull that shit off. You know what I mean? And I mean that as a total compliment. You like some people look good skinny. Right. Some people don't. Like that's just 100% like how you're built. Like society wants like to make everybody feel like you should be like this, like you should look this way. And I'm like, no, dude, like you look fucking weird. Stop. Like,
well, it's been weird to me how much I've learned about doing it. Cause for me, it was pure, like I went through a little bit of a depressed period in February.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't eating. I just didn't have an appetite. It was one of those times and you just want to fucking eat. And I started losing weight, and it was weird because the hunger felt good. Feeling hungry for some reason was comforting. And I don't, that's fucked up, I know. But at the time, it was like something to focus on. It was something to almost distract me.
Yeah.
And it felt good to almost be letting myself eat itself, as weird as that fucking sounds, right?
Like, yeah, just do it.
I was just in this fucking mode.
Self-mutilation. Just go down there, just fucking eat myself.
Yeah. So, but then I started, and then I was like starting to like kind of be like, I wonder what I can like do with this. So I started running out of the fucking blue, watching idiots like Dan Doherty get up every day and run 100 fucking miles and shit. Yeah. But for some reason I started just little jogs, little like 10-minute jogs and this and that. And then it got recommended to me an app called MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
And it's it's like a calorie counter, right? Yeah. So I figured out like my base calorie thing or whatever, and I plugged it into the formula and then dropped it. And I was like, okay, this is easy because it shows you your exercise and how many calories you've burned off, right? And then it gives you a number and it's like, don't eat more than that and you'll be fine. So if I've just ate less than that and exercised a little and weights,
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's so simple, and you just walk. I keep telling people, you don't gotta exercise, just fucking go for a walk.
That's the struggle I have with like. So I kind of like came to terms like probably like a year ago. I was like, you know what, man, like my whole life I've tried to like lose weight, be skinny, like look like a certain way. And then like I was going to a gym and I was like doing CrossFit at this gym, like, and it was going really well. And the guy, there was like a gym like attached to it, like the company like owned like a CrossFit gym and a powerlifting gym. And the guy that owned it was like, why do you do CrossFit? I was like, well, because I'm trying to be skinny. I'm like trying to look good. And he's like, dude, you're 6'2". Like you're fucking huge. Like you need to be over here. So like I started powerlifting, and then I'm like, I've got these coaches being like, what'd you have for lunch today? And I'm like, oh, I had a salad and like I had like some chicken, whatever. And he's like, fuck that. Go get like 3 hamburgers. And I'm like, what? I can't do that. Like, I know I shouldn't do that. Right. And he's like, trust me, like if you're gonna lift this much weight, you got to feed your body. And I was like, I don't know, dude. He's like, look, just trust me. Do it for like,
gotta feel weird,
do it for a couple months. Yeah. He was like, and just see. And like, it got to a point where like, I'm like before I work out every day, I drink a quart of chocolate milk.
Jesus.
Because your body, like we're lifting so much weight, your body burns so many calories per lift. Yeah. That like, if you don't have that, like if you go into it with your tank empty, you just burn muscle and fat off your body. And like, that's
well, what do you weigh? What are you sitting at as a power lifter?
I weigh 335 right now.
You literally weigh over twice what I do right now. I just clocked in at 155.
Yeah, dude.
which
it's
is
a lot.
which is insane. But also, yeah, I do have a frame that's not necessarily. I don't think I'm meant to be like skinny, but I was always plump, and I know it's just because I was a lazy little kid who ate too much candy.
Yeah.
And I grew up with this body that kind of became my body shape and kind of stuck there. But it's not really, it never really felt like too right, especially as a tree climber. It's kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But I realized I just ate too much. I would eat a bag of chips every night because I was a pothead or whatever, and I just peanut M&Ms are like my big crux. I can eat bowls and bowls and bowls of the fucking thing.
That's, like that's been like a big, like weed's been a big help with like powerlifting, because like I literally, like when I first started, especially, I couldn't eat enough food. Like it made me feel like shit. Like to eat the amount of food that like they needed me to eat, I would like get done and I'd be like, I can't fucking eat anymore. And like I would go and smoke and like wait a little bit and I get hungry again. And it like helped me like process through the food.
Yeah.
And I was
absolutely.
like, and then come to find out that's like a thing. Like a lot of powerlifters do, like they smoke weed to like help them get the like cravings to want to consume.
Dude, I'm at the point now. I just got a new batch and it's pretty bad for the munchies, but I'm at a point where I'm not trying to be having the munchies right now.
Yeah.
And it's fucking torture.
Bad, yeah.
But see, what I did was I was at 185. I dropped down to where I am right now, 155.
You're fucking
so what's that? 30 pounds? Yeah, I dropped 30 pounds. And I've pretty much dropped the weight now, but now I want to cut it. Now I want to like really just make it hard, right? Like Brad Pitt Fight Club is where I'm going. People don't believe me. Even my mom yesterday was like, you look sickly. Like you don't look good. And I was like, fucking Brad Pitt Fight Club. I ain't stop until I reach it. She's like laughing at me. And I was like, you doubt me, woman. And, I'm telling you, but either way, so I'm on a totally different thing where I'm just trying to be pure high protein, but like chicken and lean stuff and like, just to like get rid of that body fat and stuff. But the powerlifting amazes me because I've been doing a little lifting, just trying to, just little 10-pound like bicep curls and this and that. But when I see you pulling that shit, man, like, how do you even like? I don't understand how your back is not just wrecked. How does it not just snap in half from all that weight? I don't like. I get you got big, strong arms and big, strong chest. I can lift up the big weight, but how the human spine is able to sustain lifting that amount of weight, I don't even comprehend.
It's like a system, you know what I mean? Like everybody like in like thinks it's like just like, oh, like you work out and like get buff, whatever. Like a lot of the powerlifting like core mechanics is like creating this like bound system through your whole body, right? So like it's not just about being strong and like looking buff or whatever. It's about creating strength that starts in your feet and like all the way up your back, because that's where like 90% of it takes. Like, and so all of our like workouts are very like accessory based. So everything we do, like when you go in there, everybody expects to just go into powerlifting, lift a bunch of heavy weight and be done. Like 90% of it is like, we go through 8-week cycles of you drop down, you do like very little weight a lot of times. And then every week it kind of goes up. So you start with like 6 sets of 6, then you go 5 sets of 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, until like you're doing ones. And then you start over. So it basically creates like a tension in your body that gets worse and worse and worse, worse. And then you relieve. And when you go back to that, like that relief stage of like, you go back to 6 by 6 with like less weight, then your body's like, oh, I can relax. I stressed myself out. Now I can repair to get ready for the next big thing. And like the next big thing, it's very like cyclical. So like people will go into a gym and like lift a bunch of heavy shit and just try to like, oh, I'm just going to see how much I can lift. And like, and that's where people get hurt. Like you have to be willing to like go into a gym and feel comfortable.
That's how I've done my whole workout routine that I've put together, man, is just like a lot, and just work your way to it.
It's
but
like,
even like, what was that
creating
famous
shock
video?
In your body?
What about that famous video of that one? Remember that one guy who was like, when he power lifted and his like shin like just broke in half or something?
I mean,
like
a lot of that stuff happens.
That?
I mean, that happens a lot. Yeah, it happens to a lot of people. Like when you get into like lifting this much weight, like injury is almost like inevitable. Like a lot of people. I mean, I work out with people every day that they pass out every day.
Wow, that can't be healthy.
So we did a comment. I mean, it's not the best thing for you, but it's not just necessarily unhealthy. Like, so like we had a competition 2 days ago and these guys were going at each other. And like you could see like when they got to a certain place, like they couldn't quite get the weight up and their body was so strained that you just black out. And this guy, just the weight drops and you just kind of like hit the ground. Wow. And 2 seconds later, boom, you're back to, and you're like, holy fuck. But when you're lifting, like, you know, you're lifting 1,000 pounds, people's legs are going to shatter. Like, people are going to shit themselves. They're going to get hernias. Like everybody, it's a lot. That's fucking great. Like, you know, you get nosebleeds. Like, I saw a guy pop a bunch of blood vessels in his eyes, like, and he had like blood coming out of the corners of his eyes. Like, it's a lot, dude.
Out their ears and shit, like,
right? The people in this the people in this community, really don't give a fuck. They really just like, fuck you. I'm getting this weight up. Like, like we have a saying at our gym. We have a saying at our gym: no stains, no gains.
Right.
Like,
nice.
If you ain't shitting your pants on the lift, you ain't lifting
something
enough.
Or pissing something for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Fearless Fred Kennedy?
What?
Fearless Fred. He's actually going to have a new book, I believe, still coming from Source Point. He's a comic book writer out here, and he's also on the radio. He's a radio personality out here on Q107.
His name is Fearless Fred.
Fearless Fred Kennedy, man.
That's fantastic.
So he's a radio DJ. He was a host of the Cartoon Network on TV, and he's big in the local community because he's a writer. He had a comic with Chapter House called The Fourth Planet. It was absolutely.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's insanely good.
Okay.
But he's got a new book that I don't know what the quarantine has done to the situation, but coming from Source Point Press, called Warpath, and you know, some cool stuff. Well, anyways,
I think I heard of that.
Fred is a big fitness guy, right? And he goes to a gym with another friend of mine, comic book writer Dave Bishop. They go to a gym called Train Like Heroes.
Yeah.
And it's just all these like crazy positive, like super motivational fucking people trying to like work out as hard as they can, right?
Yeah.
So I've chatted with him here and there, and he's been throwing me he actually turned me on to HIIT exercises and stuff, and you know,
intensity interval training.
Yeah, and he's also been releasing these little like 5-minute workout videos every day during quarantine. You should check him out. They're funny. He's fun. And but yeah, so he's been kind of like I've been going to him for tips here and there, and he's helped me tons like build this. It's just a tiny, simple little workout.
Yeah,
but you know, and he's just been so motivational about it. Like when you have a group chat with like three guys or whatever, just being like, "You fucking killed it, get me fucking shredded." It just fucking feels good,
like,
you know,
we look like fucking idiots, like in the gym, like when we get ready, like especially like PR day, like when you're going into like try to get a record or you're trying to like break your 1 rep max or whatever, like we act like fucking hooligans. Like, I mean, it's very like it's really like motivational. Like I can't like lift now like without people there, like too, because it's so like positive and it like regardless of like whether they're physically helping you, it helps. Like I have gotten like crazy, like, you know, 1 rep maxes and stuff just on people like being there screaming in your face, like, you know, motivating you to do more. And like, you know,
I've started talking to myself. Like I'll be like 3 away and literally out loud be like, just fucking do it. Like,
have you seen
not that much, but being like, come on. And I'll find myself like literally like in the middle of jumping jacks being like, come on, you know, and you can bust out those last.
There's a famous bodybuilder called I think his name's like CJ something. I can never remember his last name. He's this just huge black dude, and he talks to his biceps as he lifts, and he's like, I command you to grow, motherfucker. Like he's like yelling at it and this dude is just fucking jacked, like so insane. And I'm like, dude, if I was in the gym and I saw this massively shredded dude yelling at his biceps like to grow, motherfucker, grow, I would fucking leave. It's the most terrifying shit I've ever seen.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And right when I would join a gym, they fucking everything's all has to be closed down.
All you need is burpees, bro. For what you want,
no, fuck burpees. Fred's been pushing me on burpees, and I'm like,
burpees, but burpees is the
like
greatest.
Well, here's the problem with me is I have to stay very low impact because I have a degenerated disc at the very bottom of my spine. When I wake up in the morning, like 20 years of tree climbing, my back is just a mangled mess of a wreck, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I literally can't bend over. I can kind of bend over sideways like this, but it takes me a good half hour of kind of small stretching before I can actually get to a point where I can bend over. So the exercises I want to be doing right now, crunches, mountain climbers, burpees, sit-ups, are the ones I can't do in the morning unless I wait an hour and stretch it out. So that's been like my biggest hurdle.
The good thing though about all those workouts is that they all are able to be scaled. So like I'm the same way. So I have a fake knee. I have really big problems with with, high impact stuff on my legs. So the good thing about burpees, you don't have to like do the jump down to like do the impact. Like you can, put your hands down, walk it back, do the push up, walk it back in. Like there's always like scaled ways to like do that stuff. So don't try to cop out.
No. I mean, well, I really enjoy the jumping jacks, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Simple, and I do every minute on the minute. That's what Fred recommended. He's like, that shit works, dude. So I do like as hard as I can jumping jacks for a minute. And then I stop and I'm usually listening to ska for jumping jacks, like poppy ska, right? So like Rancid is my usual like jumping jack music. So I put like, and you're going, and then when you have your minute off, you kind of, just keep moving a bit, right? It's all like just keep on working, keep on moving.
The thing I really enjoy is jump rope. I think like jump rope is a really easy thing to do, like, and it keeps you entertained. Because you're like doing something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're focusing on like keeping it going. So it's almost like distracts you from the fact that you're doing
you know what I've been using? Aaron has an old Tony Little Gazelle glider. Remember Tony Little? And the
No,
Gazelle?
But that's the most fucking Canadian sounding shit I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know if it was Canadian. Was it Canadian?
Tony Little Gazelle glider.
Anybody out there watching right now trying to find it?
Try that.
He was like one of those fitness
Tony Little,
guru, like,
Gazelle glider.
Like QVC type guys, he had all the workout video, but he had this glider machine, and it has no resistance. So you got to go half an hour just to like get a drop of sweat going, unless you like really fucking give her. But at least it does beat, like if it's a rainy day, I'll just spend an hour on it instead of, walking in the rain or whatever. But people, I'm telling you, you got to get fit out there and get off your fucking asses and do. You
don't have to get fit. Just learn to lift heavy shit. You'll be all right.
Unless you want to go the Bruce Lee route, because I'm just trying to rid my body of all its body fat. Like Drina Joe, wonderful editor, Drina Joe, Source Point editor, just pointed out, she says, Jay, get those hip muscles. Yeah. And I just once in my life, I want to have them hip lines, right?
Oh, that's so overrated, bro.
Just once. No. You ask anyway.
I had them when I was in the Army, and they didn't do anything for me.
Well, that's probably because you were in the Army. Surrounded by
that's probably true.
Dudes and shit. You know what I don't know about
dudes
you?
And shit. What? There's like the Army is like more rampant with like cheating and divorces and stuff than like any other place.
What is the ratio? Like how many dudes to dudettes in the Army?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if there's an actual statistic on it, but I would say like,
what did it feel like?
It felt like probably like 60-40.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty balanced.
Wow, I would have guessed more like 37.
I mean, it kind of depends where you are too. Like, because like obviously, like back when I was in, like the Army was still kind of like prejudiced, and like there was like male MOSs and like like women jobs and men jobs. Like, oh, we couldn't be combat. Like women couldn't be in combat and shit. And so like, bullshit. I mean, some places you go, like it would be more like male centric. But like, I worked in the intelligence community, and like, we probably some of the units I was in, there was more women than men. Like.
Right. You were more of a cyber warrior, right? Or a spy warrior?
How dare you?
Drina Joe says that you need to hush your mouth because they are not overrated.
Well, I don't even remember what I said was overrated.
The hip muscles.
Oh.
They were, yeah. Drina knows better. She knows best. No. So listen, the one thing I don't know about you, because I know a fair amount about you since your adventures in the Army, is pre-Army. Where you grew up, all that kind of crap. Give me the origin story, man.
It's not really a lot to it, bro. Like I was born in LA. I was born like a suburb of LA called Riverside. I grew up there until I was like 5 or 6. My dad worked for a big company, a big air research company that was like a contractor of NASA. He was like he was in charge of like he was a buying like a purchaser for like an aerospace company. So he was in charge of like he was a government contractor that would like buy the parts for NASA to use to build space shuttles and shit.
I got you. Yeah.
So like we moved a lot when I was younger, and then my dad quit all that and was just like, I'm gonna go like be a landscape maintenance person, like out of nowhere. Like I'm gonna go like mow lawns and shit. And I was like, all right. Like at the time, I was like 6. So it's like, I was like, whatever, sure. You can go from like working in aerospace to like working on lawns. So like, after like, when that kind of happened, like we moved to Northern California. My grandfather, what's up, dude? Oh, that's my 4-year-old. Like he tries to like finagle his way into stuff.
Hey, come on
by,
in, man. My
by
kid
saying like, "Oh, I love you." That's his like way to like finagle his way into stuff.
How you doing, bud?
He said, "What's up?" You say hi.
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 You can go hang out with mommy.
He's fascinated.
Okay. All right.
Get used to it, kid. Take a good look. This is how you're gonna know all your people from now on.
Will you shut the door?
This is how he's gonna communicate with the world as he grows up, man. You better get used to it.
So like my grandfather like gave my parents like some property. He lived like out in the fucking weeds in Northern California. He was like, if you guys want to move up here and get away from that city lifestyle, I'll give you some free land. And my parents were like, okay. And like we like moved to the fucking boonies, and like as like a 7-8-year-old, fucking sucked, dude. Like
yeah, I'll bet.
It's like all my friends I went to school with, I was like, well, and like I went to school with these kids that like were in town. Like I had to go 45 minutes to go to school. So,
well, how
like,
old did you say that was? 8 or 9?
I was like 7 or 8.
Okay, yeah, like when I was 9, I had to move cities. So yeah, I feel you.
But it was like we went from like, oh, you like live next door to people, like can play with people, like to I have to convince my friends' parents to like drive 45 minutes to come to my house. Like no one, I would not fucking drive my kid 45 minutes to go hang out with some fucking kid.
Right.
100%. So I don't blame them. Now that I'm a parent, I'm like, you're damn right.
Right.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
But like back then I was like, God, that fucking sucks. So it was just like me by myself in the fucking woods, like riding quads and like hurting myself or like catching animals I probably shouldn't have caught, like doing all kinds of dumb shit, like because there's like nobody to watch you
with like tails, like animal tails, like
it's like where the fucking wild things are, bro. It's fucking crazy.
Daryl Walking Dead hunter shit.
I remember there was one kid that lived down the street from me, and he
Garrett
like,
went feral.
And we went to like the back of our property, and there was like this like nice little creek that came through my parents' property and shit. So we hike up in this fucking mountain, like in this cavern, like this massive like canyon thing where it's like really slow, like really steep and like wet and like just like sharp rock. And we're like going through climbing shit, and we're like, wow, let's catch all these fucking salamanders because these are fucking dope because like bright colors and shit. So we catch all these salamanders and we come back, we bring them back to the house, like show my parents all this shit. Come to find out, these fucking salamanders are like super poisonous.
What?
Like, yeah, it's called like a California newt. So like we caught all these fucking newts and these salamanders and shit. And like what like the California newt is like super poisonous, like can fucking kill you. And like, and we like had a bucket of them. We're like, look at all these cool things we found. Like, I don't know how I fucking made it past 12. Like, it's so fucking crazy.
Oh, that's great.
So that's like it. Like, I mean, like I was raised in that environment until I was probably like,
what'd you do in high school? Were you an artsy kid? Were you playing football? I was a
fucking nerd. I got my fucking ass kicked all the time. Fucking sucks.
So when did you become a beast? Like, how did that? Was it pure the army? Like,
how'd you end up in the army?
Why the army? How'd the army happen?
I
get out of high school and have nothing to do and go.
So I left high school and I didn't really like know what I wanted to do because I never really like I had like kids I went to school with, like friends that were like, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and I'm like, this shit sounds so goddamn boring. It's so dumb. Like I spent my entire educational career like getting yelled at by teachers for like not paying attention, or like Garrett lets his imagination get the best of him, or Garrett won't stop talking, or like Garrett's a constant distraction to others. Doesn't it just explain so much?
Right.
So like
one of them.
So I like when I got out of high school, I was like, dude, I don't fucking know what I'm gonna do. This is crazy. So I come from a long line of like military people in my family. So my dad was in Vietnam. My grandfather was in World War II. My great grandfather was in World War I.
Wow.
Like everybody, yeah. Like my grandfather is like a really highly decorated World War II veteran. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go in the army, and that'll be something to like give me something to do until I figured out what I'm going to do in my life. Right. And at that point I was engaged to my wife, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna join the army. And she was like, the fuck you are? And I was like, I want to do it. I think it'll be awesome, whatever. And she was like, if you're gonna join the army, you got to do something like that's safe. First of all, the army doesn't give a fuck what you want. Like if you could be in a safe job. I was deployed and saw more action than people I know that are infantry. Like I know dudes, I got friends that were infantry that are like, fuck you and your combat badge, dude. That's bullshit. Like I didn't get to see shit. So like she told me, she was like, you got to sign up for a safe job. So I told my recruiter that because I was young and stupid. My wife wants me to have a safe job. So he was like, we'll make you intel. I was like, all right, sure, sounds good.
I'll be
radar.
radar.
Like they sent me away. I went to school, like learned to be like an intelligence analyst and shit. And I remember like when we were finishing our training and we were getting like, everybody's getting their orders, like they're reading off everybody. They're like, you know, oh, specialist so-and-so, you're going here, and private so-and-so, you're going here, or whatever. And like all these people, I'm hearing like Alaska, Hawaii, all this cool shit, like you know, Maryland, all this shit. And I'm all, oh fuck, dude, like where's that? Like, where am I gonna go? Whatever. And they're all Private Gunn, Fort Hood, Texas.
Oh.
And I was all, what? And this, I swear to God, one of my teachers who was from Fort Hood was all, I hope you like Afghanistan, bro. That was all he said. And I was like, well, okay. I don't know what's going on. So we went there. I was only at Fort Hood for like 3 months before I deployed. Wow. I showed up. They were all, just so you know, we're getting ready to deploy. So be ready. I was like, okay.
Crazy, man.
I told my wife and she was like, God damn it.
Well,
I was like, that's that safe job, bro.
Right. Nice. Well, you made it through. You're here. You're alive and semi with it. So
I'm kind of there.
You got most of your marbles, right? You know,
it's a pretty empty bag.
All smoke going on up in there. No, there must be a few trinkets and treasures going on up there.
I know how to fake it pretty well. Let's put it that way.
You know, you make some real fun comic books. Shall we talk about some comic books and stuff?
Yes.
Because you make comic books. Now, I'm starting to also get confused about your library.
Oh, God.
Because your library is getting extensive with what you're working on. And I'm going to be honest. Like, I know it's great for business and people love it. But when you're in the situation that I am, it's very, very hard to keep straight working for a company who puts out more variant covers than possibly any other publication in history. And that confuses me as to series and premieres and previews because there are so many different covers of so many different issues going on. And you are one of these culprits where you love this shit. You absolutely love shit. And you are one of those writers who is an extreme fan of the art. You are an artist yourself. You love to draw, you've got a few skills, but you're just such a huge fan of the people you work with and the people that do things for you. So let's start from the beginning. Okay. Start at the very, very start and go through your library. Start giving me your titles and let's see what you've accomplished and what's coming and clear it up for me, Garrett.
You want me to go like all the way back? Like my
all the
first
way back,
book?
Man. Yeah.
Fucking Christ. All right. So I wrote a book. My very first comic I ever wrote was called Days to Come. Okay. Days to Come is such an unoriginal title. And it was like I'm going to make a cool comic. It was fucking ass. It was so fucking bad. I remember I actually burned, like I found, like I was going through my storage unit like a year and a half ago. And I found like 200 copies of the first book. And I was all, oh my God, I dumped it. I like burned it with a bunch of shit I was clearing on my property. I just like got rid of it. I was all, no one needs to see this.
What was
this
it about?
Terrible. Fucking goddamn it, dude. So it was like, it followed this guy who like was kind of like living in the apocalypse. Like basically there had been this, this is so dumb. It feels like this is how bad it is. I'm like embarrassed to tell you about this book. So basically it follows this guy who has this like dog, like they're partners in like the apocalypse. And you find out that basically like there was like a nuclear fallout on Earth. And basically nothing survived. Like, they always say like cockroaches are like the only thing that'll survive like a nuclear blast, right? Like, so basically the world had basically just been destroyed. And the only thing that had been living were these like insect creatures that were, the radiation from this fallout and everything had like mutated these bugs into like this like species that was ruling the Earth. But there was like some humans, like some weird like people that were kind of like mutated humans that had survived as well. And you kind of found out that like the reason they survived is that there was like this lab where like this guy was like experimenting like some like, genetic like reconstruction like formula. And he was like testing it on body parts that he could like steal from a morgue. And so like he was like injecting these body parts, trying to see if he could get them to like regrow parts of their body. And like the radiation from this fallout like mixed with the genetic stuff he was doing and like basically formed them back into people, but like better versions of themselves. So you had like these characters like living in the apocalypse over like all these insects, all this crazy. It was like Planet of the Apes, bro. It was Planet of the Apes with fucking bugs, but like somehow it was just terrible. Like it was just the worst.
I want to read it now.
Oh, it was
Did you
so
put it
bad.
out through anybody, or was it pure self-published?
It came out through a company called Insane Comics.
Insane. That sounds familiar.
It was a very small little fucking publisher. Like, what's funny is I made the first book and I was like, all right, I made a comic. I did it. All right, cool. And then a publisher saw it online and was like, hey, I'd publish this. And I was like, sure, why not? So I gave it to them and they started selling the first copy. They like brought me out to a convention and shit. And that was like so weird. And then they were like, we need a second one. And I was all, I didn't.
Was that your first convention then too?
Yeah, it was my first convention.
Wow.
And like, it was like in Illinois somewhere, like some backwoods fucking Illinois convention. And it was like at a farmer's market thing. It was so weird. But they were like, we need a sequel. And I was like, okay, fuck. I didn't think this through. So then I wrote 4 issues of this book. Right. And they continued to put this book out. And then number 5 was supposed to come out, which was supposed to be like the last issue. And I couldn't bring myself to make it. I was like, this is fucking, it was so bad.
Really
and like,
embarrassed.
What's funny is that was the first thing I worked on Stan Yak with. Like with Stan Yak on. Yeah, so Stan started drawing
Stan Yak art, and it was
so the first 2 issues were done by a guy from South America, who I really liked his art and stuff. The 3rd issue was done by a local buddy of yours, Evan Quiring, who's from Canada. He's part of like Scattered Comics and a bunch of
nice.
stuff.
I like how anywhere in Canada's.
Yeah, you guys are all the fucking same, right? It's like one giant
second
neighborhood.
biggest country in the world. I'm sure he's right down the street.
Maybe logistically, but like really, come on. Like every time I meet a fucking Canadian, they're like, "Oh yeah, you mean that person over there? I know them. No big deal." It's like fucking you guys all fucking know each other. So dude from Canada, Evan Quiring, who's a super talented artist. He works for Scattered Comics now.
Cool.
He did the 3rd issue, and then when I did the 4th, I was like, hey, I want to like do like I'm gonna bring in like somebody that was closer to, because Evan was kind of cartoony compared to the earlier stuff, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back to like more of a gritty style. So I met this guy named Stan Yak on Facebook, and I was like, he does cool art, sure. And so like we made book 4, and then we were about to make book 5, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. This book fucking sucks,
dude.
Stan did great things on that book. It was so good.
He does great things whenever he puts anything to paper, man. Yeah. He is such a fucking phenomenal talent that it amazes me. Because I remember him from 9+ maybe years ago on Twitter and stuff. Yeah. And seeing this mad Russian dude just drawing the sickest fucking art and wondering how the hell is this guy not huge?
Yeah.
And all these years later, he's now the jewel of Source Point, where everybody wants to work with him. He's doing so much. He's a big ball of confusion. He's doing variants for everybody and covers for everybody, his own books. And he's just doing such incredible work. It's like especially Broken Gargoyles. Oh my god. Oh my.
They did really good on that.
Yeah. So he's finally coming out, and it's such a cool thing that it just happens to be Source Point Press that is finally being the ones smart enough to realize the fucking talent this guy has. Like, whether he's drawn something that's already out there or his own unique characters, it's another level, man. And Broken Gargoyles, like Bob really knocked it out of the park. He found a balance he's never had before, where he just wrote this beautiful story, perfect amount of dialogue. I love the pacing. I love the mood. I think it's.
I'm sure 90% of the success of that book has to do with Drina, but.
Drina, like Drina's influence on that book because the way Bob could not express how much of a joy it was to work with her on that.
Yeah,
he could not.
I'm working with her right now.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're experiencing it too, and everybody who works with her they can't say enough wonderful things, and and she knows how to handle her boys. She knows how to keep you fuckers in line.
Fucking
you know what I mean? Keep your shit straight, man. I know it. So we move on from that. What's the next book?
So the next book I made was originally called The Battle for Bedtime, later retitled The Fear Diaries. And it was also a super unoriginal book that was basically like about stuffed animals, like fighting nightmares. That was like, I made that one when I was on like book 3 of Days to Come. And I was like, oh, I need to like make something that's like that's less mature. So like I'll make this thing like here's a cool like I'll do this. So I made the Fear Diaries. That was later published by Alterna,
Oh yeah.
also known as the publisher we shall not name. Um, the fucking Voldemort of indie comics.
Get your newsprint. Get your newsprint here.
Oh my god. So I did that, and then when I was working on Fear Diaries, I started writing a book called Go West. Go West was something that like it was the first time I had like tried to do something that was very serious. Like it wasn't there was no humor, no angles, no like weird like anything. It was based around some like complex mental health issues that I had from the Army, that were kind of like, that book was kind of meant to be the personification of the realization of like how I felt when I was deployed. Like there were moments like I was like, I'm not going to see my wife and kid ever again.
Oh shit.
Like that's not going to happen. Like I'm going to fucking die here today. And like having that like thought in your mind, like your mind goes to like some dark places. And so I wrote that book around the idea of like, you have a guy who is just trying to like make like a good living for like his family. He wants to like, there's something he's good at. Like the Army was the first time I had ever done anything that like, I was like, damn, I'm good at this. Like, as far as like intelligence analysis and like just everything about being in the Army, I was like, I was promoted ahead of my peers a lot. Like I made sergeant really fast. Like every time I was in a unit, people were like, yeah, guns squared away. Like that's like, it was the first job I had that I was like, I'm fucking good at this. Right. So like, that's this guy is kind of like gets in with this outlaw organization, and he's like really fucking good at his job. And then he's just like, he realizes that being in this organization is kind of like having a toll on his like marriage and his personality and his like, mental health and stuff. So he tries to walk away, tries to go like full John Wick, right? Like I'm done with this business. Takes his family, like moves out of this like outlaw territory to like the safe zone. But there's some people that kind of were in the organization that aren't happy that he left, because he kind of left like a vacuum like in this organization that was like basically filled by shitty people. So they order like a hit on him. They're like,
did you write John Wick before John Wick?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, it definitely came out before John Wick. So they kind of like, they're like, he knows too much. If he's not going to be a part of this, like, we can't let him like go live this peaceful life. Like he's been way too involved in all this shit. So they put a hit out on this guy, the main character, Arthur Slade. And when they show up at his house, he's not there, but his wife and kid are. And they kind of kill his wife and kid to like send a message. And this guy's like, fine, like, you want to fucking kill my family? Like, that's cool. I'll come back to this lifestyle right now. And like this whole book is just about him going west to try to find the man that like killed his wife and kid. And it was fucking intense, man. It was really like some dark shit. I threw a lot of like Western tropes and like spaghetti Western, like cliche bullshit in there. Like I remember like it got really good. I mean, it was the most successful book I've ever made. Like,
oh really?
Alterna sold 20,000 copies of it.
Holy shit.
We sold a lot of copies, and like it did very well.
How have I not heard of this?
We got very good reviews. We got one negative review. I only got one bad review for that book. And the person said, this book is so cliche, like every fucking Western trope is in this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's the fucking point. Right. Like, it's supposed to feel like a fucking cliche Western. Like,
right.
It's, because it was like a futuristic Western. Like, he drives a motorcycle instead of like riding, like the steel horse, right? Like, course, all this kind of shit, like, was all in there on purpose. And that was like the only bad review we ever got. And I really, really enjoyed that book. I'm pretty sure Source Point's going to put it out now. Going to re-release it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I want to read it.
It's it was a lot. It was a really heavy book to write. It was a lot of fun. It was done as one graphic novel, but they had Alterna split it up into 4 pieces to like newsprint it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on. And then I pulled it from Alterna when all that bullshit happened.
Right.
but yeah, it was a really fun book. So that's Go West was what that was, and that was Stan Yak. That was like the next big thing.
That was
like
Stan too.
Stan and I did that, and
I miss all this.
It was dude. Stan and I have worked together a lot. Like
so,
a lot.
what's next? What's next?
So after Go West,
how many next are there? Are there too many to actually do this? I didn't think you'd be going on for dozens and dozens of books.
Bro, I mean, I think I've done.
How many titles you got?
15, I think.
Oh Jesus, we're not gonna go through 15 goddamn.
Yeah, it's a lot, dude. Like I'll go through them quick. So like, right after that, I started writing a book called Sherman and Ghost. Later retitled Franklin and Ghost.
Dude, I thought you'd done like 7 or 8 titles.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I apologize for my ignorance of your fucking.
Dude, no. Some of those motherfuckers I try to sweep under the rug. I'm like, nobody needs to see this again.
Right.
I did. So I did Franklin. That's when I started working on Franklin and Ghost. I did. Fucking. Oh my god, dude. After that, I did. Fuck, dude. There's so many. I'm like losing track. I usually have them like on my fucking rack here.
God
so,
damn.
I did I did Box Masters.
Yes, Box Masters
for Billy Bob and them. And at that point, when
he does in fact, this is the part we always have to do it. It's too exciting. You fucked yourself by having this relationship, but he just glosses over being like Billy Bob. That's the comic he made for Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
In his band, it's called the Box Masters.
I'm writing
which has led, which has. Oh, really? There's gonna be more. Sweet. Yeah. That led to Billy Bob being also one of the voices in Franklin and Ghost with Sean Schemmel. So that's how that comes around. Yeah. So you do the Box Masters, which
we did the Box Masters, and that was my introduction to Source Point.
Right.
Is I had this book that Billy was a part of, and I was working on it, and I needed a publisher that had experience with like working with like celebrity talent and like other stuff. Like I talked to like when I pitched that book originally, I talked to the people in American mythology because they were doing like the Three Stooges and like a bunch of that Hatchet and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Cool.
I talked to them. I talked to some other publishers, Dynamite, a bunch of people. But Bob had told me like, hey, you should check out Source Point. Like Source Point's doing good shit. Like they've got experience doing this kind of things, you know, doing other stuff. So you should pitch that. And I got Box Masters with Source Point. And then they helped me get Franklin and Ghost away from the first publisher I had and bring it to Source Point. And then like after that, I mean, I did a book called Terror Sores. I did
that one I'm familiar with.
Yeah, Terror Sores. I did a book called Calamity with that was part of the Source Point Presents. I did Beardzilla, which was part of Source Point Presents, which is still like an ongoing book. I did some stories for Infinite Punishment, which was a book made by Marcelo Traum, my buddy who passed away last year. I did like the opening story for that. I just continued to do Franklin and Ghost books. We've done like 4 now. And then Warcorns. After Warcorns, I did the ones that we've got right now.
This is where it gets fuzzy for me.
Yeah.
Okay. This is with the beginning of Warcorns, because Franklin and Ghost, it's a weird thing what you did here. It shows just your creative, the way your creative juice flows.
Yeah.
Is Franklin and Ghost is taking off. It's doing great. You know, it's doing well. You got this new announcement, this great, you know, a bunch of people making this goddamn cartoon, and things are fantastic. Just when you think you're about to just sink every last ounce of blood, sweat, and tears you've got into making Franklin and Ghost happens, you see a pretty shiny thing called Warcorns, and you go running after it. And you go nuts, and you're obviously having a fucking blast with this book. You love this title. It's evident. There's so much joy in you when you see new things about it. So there's been so much done with it in such a short amount of time. So explain to me the world and, you know.
So I had this, like, you know, I had this realization, like when I worked on Franklin and Ghost, of like, as I wanted to sink everything into Franklin and Ghost, but I also didn't want to I'm not a person that could do one do one thing over and over and over and over. And so like, I wanted to write other characters, and I was like, but how can I like work that into, you know, I want to put a lot of energy into Franklin and Ghost. So how can I take the characters that I want to write? I mean, on my computer at any given time, there's like 30 treatments that I've written for like different, some are just an idea, some are like a full synopsis, some are like a first issue of a book, like things that I just get in my mind and I'm like, I need to write this. And so like, I'm constantly looking for like ways to bring those things into things I'm already working on. So with Warcorns, I was like, this is very easy. Like, it's so ridiculous that it fits the model of Franklin and Ghost. So I was like, I can bring Warcorns into Franklin and Ghost, and that'll allow me to be able to write different characters, but then still be in this universe. So I started to build a universe around Franklin and Ghost of what are the other characters I could have live in here with me. And that's where Warcorns kind of spawned of like, well, obviously in this world where there's like robot police force and like all this other shit, sure, there's a fucking planet of fucking horses that like become Pegasus and unicorns, like that are like special forces fucking, combat unicorns.
It's such a party of a comic book, man.
It's really ridiculous. Like, and I knew I wasn't sure how good Warcorns would do. Like I knew people would like it, but I was like, how much are people going to want this? I was like, so I'm just going to do a little one shot, just a cool thing, like a little tie-in. If you've read Franklin and Ghost, like you could read this little one shot and it's a cool thing to like add to the story. Like it helps build. And so like I did the first issue. It went fucking crazy. And I swear to God, like by no exaggeration, every fucking day I get people asking me, when are we going to get more Warcorns? When are we going to get more Warcorns? When's more Warcorns coming out? Like, where can I buy the next issue of Warcorns? And I'm like, holy fuck. And I made the stupid decision at the end of that fucking book to put the Warcorns will return in 2020, blah, blah, blah. So now everyone's like, fuck yeah, give us more Warcorns, bro. So now I'm like,
now
fuck.
you're obligated.
Yeah.
To continue, but I mean,
it's so fun. I love it so much.
You do seem to absolutely love it.
Yeah. So that just kind of like built, like, I figured out, like, I knew when I did the first book that I wanted there to be like I wanted it to be a big gimmick. I wanted people to be like, oh fuck, dude, these fucking, the other thing was, I wanted them to be so fucking cool. And I wanted them to be like, all of the characters in Warcorns are based on real people I served with in each branch of the military. So
really? I didn't know that.
And in the first book, if you buy the first book, there's a thank you in the beginning that says like, I want to thank these people for having like an influence on myself and my military career and like my writing career and like all this other things. And there's a list of people that are used to create those characters, like their personalities, little like mannerisms, shit like that. So
I think that's amazing.
I knew when I did it, I was like, I need to find a way to like make this somehow like a jab at these people, because like everybody in the army is like, yeah, we're so fucking cool. And I was like, cool, dude, I'm gonna make you a fucking unicorn and I'm gonna give you like some crazy fucking, like way of like looking or whatever. And people fucking just like ate it up. I knew I wanted it to be a gimmick because if I didn't make any more, I wanted to make sure that people knew, I wanted people to be able to read it and be like, okay, cool, like it ends. Like there's these badass unicorns, they're so fucking dope, and then we're just gonna like kill them all off, right? Like at the end of the book.
That's and awesome.
People message me and they're like, "Are you fucking? They all fucking died, man! What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it says they'll be back. Like clearly they're not dead. Like if they're gonna be back, like how can they be dead?" So like, I immediately, I had already been writing more Warcorns. I've got 4 issues, like a 4-issue miniseries already written. My artist is like working on it right now. We've got like a birthday spectacular planned. Greg Wright is going to come and like co-write a Warcorns one shot.
Oh, that'll be great. Come on.
Yeah. He already pitched me the whole idea. I'm writing it, but he's like got a very heavy creative influence, like consultation in the book. It's so much. Yeah. So there's probably like 5 or 6 Warcorns one shots planned that are already like partially written. There's a 4-issue miniseries that starts this fall that's gonna be available. It's just all fucking Warcorns all the time. Okay. Like I just wanted the first Warcorns book to be like an introduction to the characters and like how they are, like what they do. Yeah, it's fucking they're so dumb. I love them so
Look
much.
at them.
Like
They're beautiful.
They're like my fucking kids, dude. Like I love them so much.
Now talk about these guys here.
All right, so the big jabroni in the front, the blue and purple hair, that's Big Sarge. So Big Sarge is basically like the representation of the army. So inside, Warcorns is built in a universe based around this planet called Equestrian Command. Equestrian Command is a giant planet of horse people. Within Equestrian Command, there's only, when you like basically become an adult, there's only one of three jobs you go into. Either you become a workhorse, which is just like a logistical, like we do normal jobs, we're normal people, just like we work at a grocery store, we work at here, we work at there. Then there's like the scholarly elites, which are Pegasus Command. Pegasus Command is like literally these horses transform, they get selected. It's like a sorting hat from Harry Potter. Like they go to a podium and the person's like, Warcorn, Pegasus Command, workhorse. Like, and when that happens, they become either a unicorn, a Pegasus, or just stay a regular horse. So within this Warcorns division, the military force of this planet, there's no branches. It's all just one generic force. But you have like specialties, and those specialties are represented by like the traditional branches of the military. So you got Big Sarge in the front, blue with the purple hair, who's like the army dude. He's always injured. He's always on profile. Like he's always like, he's just like the old cranky vet. Like, I'm fucking tired of this. I've been doing this for years. This is bullshit. All these people are morons. Like this fucking sucks. That's all he is. Like that is him. The one that was on the right, the green one with like the sunglasses and the bomber jacket, that is Arrow, who's like he is the representation of the Air Force. So in the book, in the book, he is, I don't get my hands dirty. I stay on the plane. Like I'm a pilot. I'm too fucking cool for you. Like I just get you to the danger. That's all I do. I stay back. I don't do shit. Which is, all these people are based around huge, massive, like these massive stereotypes in the military. So, you've got like, everybody in the Army and Marines and everybody calls them the chair force because all they do is fight a battle from a desk. Like, so like that's Arrow. Arrow is, I'm too cool. I'm Mr. I'm Maverick. Like I just fucking fly the planes. I look cool doing shit kind of dude. The guy on the left, the pink with the green hair, that is Floater, who is the representation of the Navy. We had to make sure we gave him just the fucking stupidest outfit the Navy's ever had. But he basically is like he's like a reconnaissance expert. He like basically has to do with like any maritime like operations that they do. But he has like we have like, when he gets wet, a giant like rubber ducky inner tube shoots out of his utility belt. Just real dumb shit. The giant gargantuan of a man that you can't see in the picture because he's so fucking huge is Gunny. So Gunny is the Marine Corps. So he's just the dumbest, most fucking knuckle dragging, mouth breathing moron, but he is just a killer, the killer of all killers. Like this man is sick and twisted and just a fucking animal. If you scroll down in that campaign, you'll see like way better pictures. Like keep going down, you'll see like the covers and stuff.
Nice.
Look at that fuck. That's a coin. Yeah.
I think
keep going down.
That one.
You'll see so there's like another one. This is like a perfect example. This is the fucking Warcorns right here. You've got the Navy guy in the back looking really fucking like, just disappointed at what Gunny's doing, which is cramming crayons in his mouth. You've got Arrow looking like a fucking douchebag, and Sarge is just like ripping on him like he always does. Like, God damn it, why are you guys so dumb? Like, why? So each of them is just like makes up this fucking, this militaristic force, this special forces team of unicorns that just like, it's kind of like mercenaries for hire. Like this whole Warcorns division is just like a massive entity that is like outsourced to other like galactic, entities, as like, we've got people that are like real good at, killing and capturing people. Like, you want to send them? Sure. Like, we'll task awesome, fucking man. Warcorns division.
Super awesome. And there's
they're
so the people know, here's Franklin and Ghost.
Yeah, Franklin and Ghost. We got General Bad Guy.
Yeah.
We got his assistant Donna.
It's too cool, man. Love
it's
it.
Ridiculous, dude.
Absolutely love it. You do such fun work. Now you got some other stuff going on as well, because you can't help yourself but keep making stuff. So, I can't even begin to figure out what you got going on right now. So War Corns is happening. You're doing all that mad stuff. And of course you're doing more. Tell us about the more part, because I couldn't even start.
The next thing that really there's a lot of stuff in the works, but like the next thing that's coming out is I brought a copy to look so professional. Brought one so people could see it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is a book called DFN3. This is also a tie-in to Franklin and Ghost. Much like War Corns, it starts as a little one-shot short that was actually part of the Kickstarter campaign. It was a stretch goal. I was going to make this a full book, and then I was like, well, if we get over a certain amount on the Kickstarter, I'll make a preview, a little short of this character that I want to introduce in this universe.
Right.
And luckily we got it. So this is. I just got these from the printer 2 days ago. This is the first appearance, intro one shot of DFN3. She's very much she's a cybernetic assassin that's basically part of the next generation of, in the Franklin and Ghost universe, you have retrieval bots. Retrieval bots are just there's machines. They're go capture that guy. You got it. They just go capture, do whatever they can, get fucking easily, destroyed over, they're outmatched by quite a few people. The company that made the retrieval bots kind of has over the years developed next generation, the T1000, right?
Of course,
we're creating the better versions of these bots until they kind of come down to this next, what's the final stage, the current stage, which is they're called Dexcon Force Next Generation bots. So the next generation bots are they're men and women, basically cybernetic, perfectly built machines. The T1000s are what in the new movie there's a new one that is better than the T1000, it's the nanobot technology.
Oh yeah, and the new one,
do whatever kind of shit. So she kind of comes into play in this book of so DFN3 kind of takes place between.
I didn't realize this was in the Franklin and Ghost universe as well. Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right. It's all in the same, everything you're doing. Okay.
It's all tied together.
Oh, I didn't realize it was all so tight with this new stuff. I thought this was something new and funky you were trying.
Yeah. No, this is all Franklin and Ghost. So
all right.
This book kind of takes place between Franklin and Ghost 2 and 3. Where the bots have failed to bring back Franklin and Ghost and Delilah back to Defillion. So hey, we got to call in a favor. The War Corns didn't work out. We need somebody else. So they call in this assassin that's really it costs a lot of money to bring her in. This is a very, very expensive military asset, and so they bring her in to hey, we got a priority 1 kill cap. We need these fucking dudes dealt with. And she kind of has this weird history with Delilah that you will find out eventually. It's very it's a very there's a lot going on there's a lot of history between her and Delilah. There's a lot of history between her and
how do you keep all these different spin-offs straight? Do you have different kind of outlines for each one, or kind of notebooks for kind of each deal? Oh, you got charts.
I got 400 of these in my fucking office.
That's great. Hey, that's Shay. Do you remember Shay? You met Shay Han when you were here,
Shay Han,
right?
I know Shay.
Yeah. No, Shay Han.
Yeah, Shay Han.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you said Sean. You might have thought I was talking about the Daily.
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing. There you go, everybody. That is your weekly Sean Daly mention. Okay. Tell us about Shay is incredibly meticulous when he's putting his books together. It's just charts and it's all laid out beautifully.
It gives me anxiety.
Oh yeah. Now tell us about what we got on the screen here.
So this is a cover that we did I've wanted to do. I'm not a big homage person. Like I really like them because obviously it's like a big fan service to like do cool homages.
Right.
But I'd seen recently with all this stuff going on, like there was, there's been a lot of people that have been doing like, retailer relief stuff, like ways to help local comic shops, like because they're like getting hit the hardest of like anybody during this whole thing.
Sure.
And so, I saw Frank do a retailer relief variant for his book No Heroine. And I was like, hey, like I could do that. Like, we already have the book, the DFN3 book. And I was like, let's do a really cool homage cover and, make it something really hot. And then, make this book and do a super limited printing of it. With every time somebody buys a copy, a free copy is donated to a comic shop of their choice, like at no cost to the store, to the buyer,
That's
to
sweet.
anything.
It's very sweet.
Like you buy this and then we donate another one in your name too. Like it gets sent with a little note that says like, hey, this copy was donated to your shop by this person. This is like a little bit about the book and the history of it and the creators and whatever.
Right.
So this is the finished inks by Jeremy Clark with pencils by Raymond Gay, who did the super dope covers for Broken Gargoyles that people have seen. And
Jeremy's
this
a killer,
is,
man. Well, of course he's a killer. He's a Clark.
right. So him and Raymond cooked up this New Mutants 87 homage, first appearance of Cable. And we knew that we wanted like, obviously Franklin, and even though they're not in the book, like in the preview book, we wanted them to be like on there to be like, not featuring.
Right.
And so it kind of fit the, the look of the original, New Mutants 87. So we've got DFN3 and like her like exposed combat form on the cover, and then we've got obviously Franklin, Ghost, and Delilah, and then it's going to be like a full red chromium book, so that it like really is going to like pop.
It's
and stand
gorgeous,
out.
man.
It's going to, the colors are in progress right now, and it is going to be quite phenomenal. Like it's going to look really, really good. Gorgeous
stuff. Yeah, Jeremy's just been absolutely a monster lately, man. He's been
they're doing a lot,
doing some fine work. So as far as supporting you and supporting the cause, what can people specifically do right now to help out you and Source Point, and how can they get involved with keeping the production of these wonderful stories rolling?
The big thing right now is obviously that cover. So we only have one copy of that retailer relief variant left, which is on our website right now. It even says like last one, like when you go to our page. Right. So you can go to lastwolflegion.com and you can buy a copy of that variant and have a free copy, obviously donated to the shop of your choice. That's the best thing. Then there's also this cover is also available on the website for order. Those are limited to 100. So I think there's like 35 left or something like that. The rest have sold. But I mean, that's really it. Like you can buy Franklin and Ghost. You can buy whatever through either sourcepoint.press. You can buy signed copies on lastwolflegion.com.
And pay attention for the auctions, because you've donated stuff to the auctions.
I'm going to be, I'm going to be on one coming up.
Are you the next guest? Are you
not the next one?
Not the next one, but they've got you
coming up in, I think August.
Awesome.
August is mine.
Wow, they've got it lined up that far?
Well, we're doing an event. It's going to be part of an event, hopefully.
Okay.
Part of the release of the Franklin and Ghost board game.
Oh, that's right. That's coming
intentionally
as
winged
well.
on the wrong side.
And there's so much exciting game stuff too, especially right now during quarantine. Kids, check out, go to oximedia.com. You can check out sourcepointpress.com through there. You can also check out N3 and Deepwater Games. And Deepwater Games has some fantastic stuff to kill the time right now. I've gone to the stores, I've had to go out and get supplies, and I've looked, and the shelves are bare. There's no puzzles, there's no games, like you can't even get Uno right now or Yahtzee. And these are cool new games. Welcome to, which is a huge hit. Daniel Radcliffe is a fan himself. Harry Potter was talking about
Harry
it
Potter.
in which magazine was that? Empire.
People,
I don't know, but it was
magazine?
one of those.
I feel like it was People magazine.
But they asked him what he was up to and what he was
like, just playing this dope game.
I'm really enjoying this. Blah, 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 blah. So it's very cool, because there's also lots of exciting stuff coming with the Claim universe as far as on the Source Point side, and that's a very cool card catch game. from Deepwater, and N3. I know a lot of people out there are gaming right now. In fact, I should have pulled out some examples, but the most well-constructed, best quality, most beautiful, unique, and artistic game mats that you've ever encountered. They're available as well from N3. So
I'll also
yeah.
say we also have, for the first time ever pretty soon, we have an all ages book coming out through SourcePoint that I'm writing called Spiro.
Which is about goddamn time, because how long have we been bugging SourcePoint? Because I can't tell you how much more money I would have made at a convention if we had something to give the kids, man.
So we got kicked back for some like final edit stuff. So we're making the book bigger and better and more ridiculous. But it is I think when it's all said and done, it's gonna be like 175 pages long, all ages book. That's coming out, and I think that's
I saw the sword.
Oh fucking hell! The life-size one?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Who was that? Just a fan or a friend or?
It's a friend mostly. Like he's an engineering student local here that like we know, and I just kind of told him he bought like 3 3D printers, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just making cool shit." And I was like, dude, if you ever want to make, like, I was going to get one made by somebody, like a professional person. And they were like, yeah, like it's $2,500. And I was like, I don't know if I can like justify that purchase. And I told him, he was like, dude, I can make this. Like I can make, like, I'm an engineering student. Like he did it up in CAD. Like he built the whole thing, designed the whole thing. It's like, it has like acrylic casing with like light up lights in it and like crazy shit. He was like, dude, I can make this for like $180 in like 3D printing supplies. And I was like, well, if you can do that, I was like, I'll pay you $700 as a commission to build it. And like materials and shit. He was like, all right. And he didn't tell me anything for like 3 months. And then he just sends me those pictures. He's all, it's almost done, dude. I was like, holy shit.
Nice. Well, it's like the wrench, the salvager's wrench.
Exactly.
That
I know. Fucking Travis is going to hate us
man.
so much.
Oh, like there's not enough crap getting set up.
I know. Well,
the setups these days,
right? He's gonna have these gigantic bullshit ass fucking props.
Kids, again, you can check all that stuff out, and if you go online, as you'll see, it says right under his beautiful face there, some writer guy. That's pretty much all your handles, right? On Insta,
yes, IG, Twitter,
everything.
Facebook,
some writer guy.
You can't remember who wrote it. I don't know, man. Some writer guy.
He is Garrett Gunn, and he is beautiful. It's been an absolute blast hanging out with you. I wish you all the luck. I'm glad things are going well. Thank you. Come back anytime, dude. Kids, that is all we are gonna have this week.
An elegant weapon.
On an elegant weapon.
For a more civilized age.